Also, I don't know if you saw, I labeled this as SC Prick. So
Prick. Aaron Paul is Danny Torrance. That would have been a good choice, too.
That would have been a good choice.
I mean, I love Ewan McGregor, but Aaron Paul
What's
could be
Aaron
a
Paul
good...
been up to besides El Camino?
He did Need for Speed. He's on Westworld Season 3.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, he's probably the only good thing about that. So, that's unfortunate.
Because I've seen him in Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
And that commercial for vitamin water when he's like on the treadmill.
Yeah,
he's like,
yeah. He's in other stuff. He's in Exodus Gods and Kings as Joshua, which is very unfortunate for him. Even though he's great.
That's very unfortunate. For
him.
I get the feeling. I feel like the first thing that popped into my mind when you said that was like, oh, Christian Bale probably bullied him like on set behind the scenes.
What the fuck do you think you're doing? No. Yeah, that's him talking to Ridley Scott when he's like, no, listen, I talk to God, you don't talk to God, alright? Wait till Jericho, prick.
And you just have Aaron Paul awkwardly drinking water and having some weed. And being
prick.
Like, what the fuck? We just watched 2 episodes of Breaking Bad, by the way, and it's...
I mean, we did this, we started this watch through way too late. I mean, they did kind of sneak El Camino on people because they were like, hey, it's coming out next year, and then they were like less than 6 months before they were like, oh, here's a teaser. Yeah. And then now it's like, oh, here's the trailer. It's coming out October 11th, and it's like, oh, okay, we could have been like in season 4 by now if we had known, but it's okay. I'm hoping. Go ahead.
I mean, really, it's on us. We should have got on this a long time ago.
Yeah.
And so they really it's just a smack on the bottom from the producers of El Camino, where it's like, why aren't you watching Breaking Bad all the time?
Well, I mean that is true. I've rewatched it like 4 times now.
This is my first rewatch through, so
yeah. I think what it'll do is you'll see El Camino and go, oh, I really need to watch all of this and Better Call Saul.
Yeah. Because honestly, I'll probably watch whatever you end up watching up till that point, and then once I watch El Camino, I'm gonna go back and start over again.
So, for sure.
So even though we'll probably barely be in like season 2 or 3.
I mean, there's 62 episodes for just Breaking Bad, not even Better Call Saul. So I recommend that you just jet forward on your own because I've seen it so many times. I'm totally fine with just
that's fair
slovenly going forward. Although I do like to watch at least the whenever Better Call Saul has a new season, I like to watch the previous season over.
That's a good idea.
But I can't wait for you to get to that because that's all kind of new territory for you. I've kind of vaguely talked about the framing device.
Yeah.
But
I'm really excited, honestly, to get to the episode with the fly because I know it's one that everyone hates. And even in my first watch through, I was like, this is really good.
No, it's one of the best episodes, and that's a Rian Johnson episode.
Yeah, that's why.
That's why I was like excited for him to do episode 8 because it's like, well, he did the fly, and then he also did Ozymandias, where spoiler alert, like Hank dies and like Walter loses everything, and so he had done those, and I'm like, oh. And Looper was, pretty good. So episode 8's going to be great. And then it was awful garbage. And I was like, oh, never let him write. Just let him direct. Because he's a good visual director. But
yeah, I need to rewatch Looper and form my final opinion.
I think it's probably not very good, honestly.
I also think it's probably not very good. I think what it is I saw the trailer and was like, that looks awful, and then I watched it and I was like, oh, it's actually like not terrible, therefore it must be pretty good.
I had the same thing, and I think honestly just like the whole novelty of seeing them like prosthetically make Willis and Joseph Gordon-Levitt match is like so impressive that you kind of like forget like the logic of the time travel because you're so wrapped up in their performances.
Because I barely remember, but the things I do remember of the time travel is like, that shouldn't happen like that shouldn't affect this.
It's like Back to the Future where like stuff actively changes as the time travel is going. Yeah. Like he's walking and then his fingers are missing. I'm like, but wait, why are they missing now? That means that all the previous scenes couldn't have happened because whatever. It's kind of like it's kind of inconsistent to be sure. Yeah. But
what were your thoughts on The Shining that we?
Oh yeah.
That we're redoing this because he was making an argument and I need to dismantle it and defend the integrity of Stephen King's writing.
So we haven't recorded our podcast on part 1, book 1 of The Stand.
No.
Because we've just started, we're kind of doing this thing where I think my idea is that we're doing Dune and Dark Tower and jumping back and forth. So that's going to draw both those series out a lot longer.
Yeah, boy.
But that's not bad.
No.
Because I'm spoiler alert, I quite liked book 1 of The Stand quite a bit.
Same.
And so that's really interesting. But then I remember I was debating putting The Shining and Doctor Sleep, because Doctor Sleep definitely has some connections to the Dark Tower.
Mm-hmm.
And the movie, of course, is coming out with Ewan McGregor, and I'm excited for that. I'm hoping it's good.
I hope so as well.
But I decided, because I was very familiar with the film version of The Shining, and then I haven't seen the whole miniseries. I've only seen day 1 and then the end, because it's really boring and awful. But I'm pleased to say that the miniseries is probably like taking events in the book that, yes, they can be silly, but it does them in the worst way. Whereas when I think Stephen King's strength is his prose, because even when something is questionable, you're kind of like, well, you presented that in the best possible way. Like the whole wasp nest coming alive thing was actually, the way he symbolically threaded it through was actually like, okay, like you really worked hard to make sure that the wasp nest being the first thing that scares them in the Overlook is actually like significant.
Yeah.
And like the way he handled, well, it's weird because in the movie, Jack uses an axe to attack the family, and in the book he uses a roque mallet, which roque is the British version of croquet or whatever. Like croquet is like a bastardized version where we use like bitchy versions of the mallets. So this one's like harder, so it can actually hurt you. But it was still so dumb, because it was just kind of like I went with it at first because Danny has like a million billion visions that there's something that says, take your medicine, you pup.
Yeah.
Like a million of those, and then it's like, well, if you're reading this, it's Jack. Like, what? There's no reason to think it. But the thing that's dumb is that in the book, Delbert Grady killed his family with an axe, which the Kubrick film kept, and then just had Jack use the axe, which is nice because it's symbolically paralleled, and it creates those weird things about you were always the caretaker, and it's like, wait, was Grady, are you always how does the time mechanics work here? Whereas in the book, it's like, he uses a roque mallet, and like Stephen King tries his hardest to make like roque mallets really scary, and I'm like, if the hotel had just mind controlled him to use an axe, this story would be over because he'd kill all of them.
Yeah, but you see, the issue with that,
go ahead,
what he was obviously building up to,
Your Honor, present your case.
The Overlook Hotel, it's kind of like Doomsday in reverse. So like
what?
if you kill Doomsday one way, you can never kill him the same way again. So the Overlook is like, well, we used the fire axe the last time, and we can't do it this time.
And to be fair, that almost works, because every ghost they talk about, none of them are killed the same way.
Yeah?
I mean, I guess Delbert Grady got a shotgun to the brain, and so did like 2 random guys in the presidential suite.
They were different models of shotguns. So
they got... Okay.
It's a very specific one way of killing.
Oh, that's dumb.
I mean, hey, when you've been around for hundreds of years and you're like, you can only kill someone one way, it's like, well, I can stretch those rules.
And I'm sure we'll talk more about it when we actually review Dr. Sleep.
Sure.
But because I'm going to start that book, because that movie's not out till November, so I have a whole month to finish Dr. Sleep, which is great. Because we're going to be starting book 2 of The Stand, so I'm doubling up on King. The Shining was definitely like a good book. I'd say it was like I get that like King wrote it from a very personal place of his struggle with alcoholism, kind of his hidden fear of what if I like snapped and hurt my family. So it is a very honest place, and his prose is good. I'd say like at first there's a mechanic he uses in the prose where every mental thought is in parentheses. So there's sentences that'll cut off where it's really cool. Like a character will be thinking like, oh, it made him think of break, parentheses, blood and gravel, and then like end parentheses, and then like the actual word. He's like, oh, why did I think that? Like, so it's a cool way to have like the how like when you're thinking in real life, you might subliminally start thinking and then associate with something negative and then like quickly get off of it.
Yeah.
So at first that was like bothering me, because I'm like, that's kind of because he associated with The Shine and like what Tony would say to him. And then over time, like all the characters kind of had those like thoughts that were like intruding from the hotel. So I quite like that. Again, I think like I'm liking The Stand a lot more. I think it's like a better book. But The Shining's definitely like, I'd say it'd be interesting. It'd be interesting to read if you like the story. Although I do think the film is superior in almost every way. Yeah. Aside from, in the book, Jack has much more of a... Jack, Wendy, and Danny, like, their character arcs are more clear. Mm-hmm. I just don't quite like the end of Jack's, because he just blows up. I mean, like, he self-sacrifices, like, he purposely doesn't, take care of the boiler. But then there's this really bad scene of Danny going, "You forgot something, and so did my dad. You didn't like take care of the boiler." And then the management, which is possessing Jack, is like, "Oh no! Oh, not this way! I'm supposed to win!" And then just blows up, and it's like, "Oh, that's really stupid." You're a hotel. Shouldn't the boiler be a part of your being? Shouldn't you like be? It's like that'd be like me not knowing I have to piss.
No, it's not like Monster House. It's
what?
It's it's not like no. That's not how
it works. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah. No, so I finished The Shining. I'm more excited for Doctor Sleep because I think the reason Doctor Sleep could work more is that I can put more of the film in. Yeah. Like my attachment to that, which I know is the last thing King wants me to do.
Yes.
But I do think the film has the opportunity to be better than the Doctor Sleep book as well, because I know we've talked about this where since the Overlook didn't blow up, he can physically return and walk the halls, and it's more of like a kind of like what It did, where like he's an adult now and he goes back to face it because he didn't beat it before. So I think like the film, if they play up that, could be really good. I mean, I haven't read the Dr. Sleep book. I know that he goes to the spot where it was at, but that's not quite the same.
Yeah, I like
that's kind of like
again, it's really interesting how the director was able to pitch the film to Stephen King and be like, this is adapting your book, but can we keep these things from the movie? I know you get pissed off that the movie didn't do it exactly how you did, and he's like, all right.
Well, I heard an interesting comment that he said he tried to reconcile the differences between the book and the movie. So what I assume that means is like, oh, see, Jack actually was having a much like larger internal struggle. We just didn't get as much of it.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be more like, I truly believe that we might get some weird demented CGI Jack Nicholson just like fighting the True Knot with his axe. I don't think I want that, but a part of me really does. I want some kind of Jack Nicholson in the movie.
I will be curious to see. I don't think they will, but
they have to.
I don't know.
They can't have him return to the hotel and not have some kind of, because the twins are in it,
right?
And like all the Overlook's residents are there.
That's true.
And Jack has to be there in some form.
That's true.
And if you're putting it in the movie universe, unless you like really obscure him and make it like this abstract, maybe not Jack Nicholson. You have to have Jack Torrance in there in some form. Otherwise, there's no point really to him facing all the demons, because like the other ghosts from the Overlook, but the more personal conflict that is making me an alcoholic now is what my dad did, and he was an alcoholic, so there has to be some kind of conflict.
See what they'll do is when Danny goes to the Overlook, he'll find this skeleton that just has
frozen in the ice.
No. It'll be inside the Overlook. It'll be
okay.
It'll be I forget his name. Carruthers.
Grady?
Yeah. With it'll be his skeleton with the axe stuck in him, and then you're like, wait, but is Jack Torrance around? And then it's Jack Nicholson parading around with a croquet mallet. I'm like,
oh, so that's Stephen King's like, there's only one thing that I would like is he gives up the axe and gets the mallet.
Yeah, he uses his true method of killing.
I mean, that'd be interesting if, like, I don't know, Danny Torrance used the mallet.
Yeah,
Like, then it's like, oh, you see, like, it's canon to both. Don't you understand?
I'd have to see, because I could see that being he's kind of like his dad, but a little more of a bitch boy, and that's not how I want him to be.
No, I don't think that's gonna be the case. But then again, I haven't read the book. I've only like listened to a review on it, so I'll be interested. I'll report back on that once we record for Dr. Sleep. So
absolutely,
I'll pace that out because I technically have to finish Storm of Swords and The Stand and this.
Yeah.
So I'm just consuming literature right now.
Yeah. Once I really want to start because we have a marked off point of when we're supposed to have book 1 done.
October 4th. Yeah.
Yeah, and you and I are done.
Yeah.
Sal's not. but I don't have anything else to read, so I've been delving into book 2.
I forgive you.
So
I forgive you.
But once I have more cash flow, I will pick up some of those King Arthur books that I've been wanting to read.
Oh yeah, talk about that. You've been going on a little Arthur kick.
Yeah.
Because did it start with the Merlin Sam Neill miniseries? That's where you started. Or was it you deciding one day to watch the 2004? No, it was Legend of the Sword. We watched Legend of the Sword.
Yeah,
the Guy Ritchie film,
which I love.
Yeah,
and anyone who doesn't is wrong. And I really wish that Guy Ritchie had his wish of having a full 6-movie Arthur epic, because that's what I've wanted for years. Because King Arthur is one of my favorite folklore historical legends.
Oh, you also I remember it started with Excalibur.
Yeah, so after watching Legend of the Sword, I was like, I've never seen Excalibur. It's the only other big King Arthur movie that we watched Legend of the Sword, and then I was like, I need to show you First Night, because you haven't seen it in forever, and I haven't seen it in forever.
Well, I had, but I love rewatching that movie, so I don't care.
Yeah. So we watched First Night. Then I was like, I've never seen Excalibur.
Right.
That. And I was like, well, I've been trying to find the Merlin miniseries with Sam Neill forever, and then I just found it on YouTube.
Yeah.
I was like, well, I'll watch it now.
Yeah. Because Excalibur, I feel like the biggest problem with that film is it feels like it should be like a trilogy.
Yes.
I think I love the vision for it, but I think part of what doesn't work is once it gets to the third act, it's the Holy Grail, and here's the ending.
Yeah.
So I think having an Arthur, because there's so much material, and there's alternate versions and different interpretations and different translations, and I think doing at least a trilogy for King Arthur is what you need. Because I think movies like First Night that only adapt one specific story, or Legend of the Sword, which is this is the origin story, so, or even Sword in the Stone from Disney is that technically is adapting just one part of T.H. White's saga. Yeah. But I think you can't really cram the whole story. There's way too much. Yeah. All the different Knights of the Round Table have a story. And
I also think as much as
Camelot got canceled.
Yeah. As much as I admire the director's desire to have mostly unknowns in the cast, I think it is Excalibur a little bogged down by some 80s hamminess to the performances.
But I love Merlin. I think he's fantastic.
No, I disagree. I don't really.
But it's got Patrick Stewart and Liam Neeson.
Well, they're great.
And they're not in it very much.
Yeah. But then we have the guy who plays King Arthur, and I really don't like him until he's old.
Yeah. No, that's fair.
He's obnoxious as shit when he's young. He's okay when he's playing basically his own age. But then once he's basically just Ned Stark looking back on all his wars and battles and depressed as shit. That's where I'm like, oh, this is really good.
Well, I think that's the thing is the thing that was kind of cool about Legend of the Sword is that it's and it's not that I would take this away from the Arthur myth, but it definitely is it is the hero's journey of he starts out as this guy who wants adventure, and then he realizes, this is what war does to people.
Yeah.
And I think First Night does that really well, even though you're only seeing the grown-up version of him.
Yeah. And it's also, and that, I didn't realize how, because I only have, as much as I love King Arthur, I only have a very vague understanding of the whole, history of it.
Oh, man.
So the end point of his life is when I'm vaguest, and I didn't realize that, at least in T.H. White's version, that's when it really gets, hey, you know what's shitty? War. This is what we're trying to prevent the whole time.
I mean, there's a reason why people compare Song of Ice and Fire to T.H. White. That Game of Thrones is Once and Future King, because because it is that. It starts out and then it's oh yeah, isn't it great? He's the king of Britain, and it's what if he lost everything and ruling is really tough and it's not easy and you can't just have a magic sword and fix everything. And it's wow, this is very awesome and mature.
Yeah.
So I think my experience with Arthur is I've definitely studied the lore. I think I read the Le Morte d'Arthur translation. I also read Steinbeck's King Arthur and the Acts of His Noble Knights.
Yeah.
But I haven't read Once and Future King.
Yeah, so I want to read those 3 versions, starting with Le Morte d'Arthur, and then T.H. White, and then Steinbeck.
Yeah.
And just kind of see how the prose are different and how the time periods of each writing change the ideals being presented and everything. And
yeah, for sure. Yeah. because I do think like, and then there was that period where we wanted to do like realistic King Arthur. So there was like Last Legion and 2004 King Arthur and whatever that other movie is where it's like, is Last Legion the one where it's about Uther?
Yeah, that's the one I haven't seen.
Yeah, I haven't seen that. But I know there's another one that's like Roman era that they do King Arthur in.
Yeah.
I don't...
But then there's also 2006 Tristan and Isolde.
Which I was gacked out of my mind. And all I remember is James Franco and Rufus Sewell, like...
That's really all there is.
Yeah,
we need to focus on.
Yeah.
I need to show you, if not pick up where we left off, I need to show you Rufus Sewell's best scene. And
yeah.
Because the moment he finds out he's been cucked and he confronts
James Franco's turn in this film, which you pointed out to me, again, like Nathan leaned over and said, I want to remind you, this is a year before Spider-Man 3. So that's James Franco's mindset. And I'm like, oh God, I am so sorry. And like his accent reminds me of, what is it? Keanu Reeves' British accent in Much Ado About Nothing, which is awful.
Oh.
And it's that same kind of thing where it's like, that's...
I didn't see that, but I did see him in Dracula, which was also
that's the other. That's the same thing.
I love you, Keanu Reeves, but you didn't try very hard.
See, like here's the thing: is I think correct me if I'm wrong, not to speak for you, but I think it's always better, like if you're doing like period pieces or like pieces set in other countries. I would rather you just do an American accent than try to fake a native accent.
Yes,
because that's way like we watched Man in the Iron Mask. Which was surprisingly great. Like, I did not remember that film being good. And I think, like, as a child, I didn't like... Because it was tonally different than the Disney Three Musketeers.
Yeah.
Which it's kind of like a weird... Not sequel to, but it's like... We made the sequel after they made the first one, so it's kind of a sequel.
Yeah.
But not really. Yeah. But I think as a kid, I didn't like the tonal differences in it, and so I didn't give it a chance. But going back, it was actually quite a good film.
Yeah.
And Leonardo DiCaprio in that one did not bother trying to do the British accent, which is for the better because it's distracting for a second, but then you can just focus on his performance.
Yeah,
and you're not just his performance isn't hampered by trying to do it.
Yeah, because unless you are dedicated to getting that accent done really well, don't do it.
Yeah, just don't do it.
Because I noticed also like that's one of the things when like British actors start getting big in the U.S.
Christian Bale has
so they start playing American roles and like their first couple, their accent is really shoddy.
Yeah, like Benedict Cumberbatch, how he was like his accent was really not that great in Doctor Strange.
No,
and then when he did, the subsequent film was like, oh okay, like you sound more natural and less stilted.
The first example that always comes to my mind is I think it's Kate Beckinsale in Click.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
That's a really...
Because I've watched that movie more than you would believe.
More than I would want to know, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I could replace all those watchings with just Tropic Thunder, then I think I would save your soul.
Because that film to me is when, like, Adam Sandberg is just on the cusp, where it's like... maybe if this movie does well, he'll start giving a shit again.
But
like,
it
he's not too
well.
far gone. Well, exactly. And then, I know what
he
happens.
dropped off the wagon.
Yeah.
You need to see a film called Punch Drunk Love, where Adam Sandler plays a guy with a temper problem and...
Anger management.
Well, I haven't seen that either. That's Jack Nicholson, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I saw it on Netflix, and I was almost going to click it, and then I didn't. Click.
Oh, my God.
But
it's...
I've watched the Netflix preview. I hovered over it and it played a scene of Jack because he's OCD, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's if we watch that, my hope, my desire, my experience that I would want you to have is the experience I have watching Cable Guy, where I'm like, I really hate how our protagonist just keeps getting shat on and he's just a good person, because that's exactly what's going on in Anger Management, because he's just like, hey, listen, I just had this one outburst, but more or less, like, I'm okay. And Jack Nicholson was like, what if I really just tried to push your buttons and make you as angry as
Maybe
possible?
I have seen part of this film, but I think it was on, like, cable, and I saw part of it. But talk about the Cable Guy, about our weird, like, Jim Carrey kick we went on recently.
Yeah, so, I don't know what because we had...
I think I just, for some reason, in the primal part of my brain... I started quoting Cable Guy or like talking about it.
And every time you did, I would just sort of like groan in disgust, and you'd be like, "You don't appreciate this movie. It's really good." And my memory is like, "No, it's really fucking it makes me uncomfortable to watch." And then we eventually just decided to watch it, and I was like, "This does make me uncomfortable, but it is really good."
Yeah, no, that film, I was enamored with that film in high school. Like, it was like one of my favorite Jim Carrey films.
And that's fair.
It's because I love how it subverts, like, oh yeah, like imagine if Jim Carrey's like Ace Ventura was in the real world. Wouldn't that be like bizarre to behold?
Yeah, we were talking about it, and I was kind of like, this movie is just because I would say every other Jim Carrey movie that has Jim Carrey in it is a Jim Carrey movie, and therefore
his before the latter half of his career.
Yeah, his early known ones.
Yes,
where
The Mask.
Yeah, where like the world he's in, him being over the top isn't as over the top as if it was in
because it's the tone.
Yeah,
whereas the Cable Guy
sets the tone of an entire movie.
Whereas the Cable Guy refuses to let him set the tone, but it refuses to let him stop.
Yes.
So it's like this. It's very disturbing. Yeah. And then we watched. Did we watch anything else Jim Carrey, or did we just watch Series of Unfortunate Events, the movie?
I think it was just that.
Because I love that movie too. Because both of those movies are like not really liked by people a lot, but I think they're like underrated gems in his career.
We talked about Liar Liar, but we didn't watch it.
Yeah, which I like. From my memory, Liar Liar is extremely good. But I also, the most memorable thing about the film I remember is Carrey always going, "Watch out for the claw. Where's the claw? Claw's gonna get ya."
See, I really liked that movie because my dad picked up Jim Carrey's claw gimmick when I was a kid.
My grandpa did too.
Yeah. So I was like, that's how families interact to me.
Well, my uncle Aaron, he used to be like quite the Jim Carrey impersonator. Like, just imagine Jim Carrey, but like a foot taller and like way buffer, but like also.
I wonder how Mario Moranti's doing.
Hey, Mario Moranti, if you ever listen to this, like, beyond the veil of time, I've seen your pictures on Instagram. You're jacked as fuck. Very impressive. But also, I miss you.
Yeah, we'd love to have you on.
We'd love to
discuss movies.
Yeah, we'd love to have you on. You can do your Jim Carrey impression.
Yeah.
Just do the whole podcast as Jim Carrey. Oh. We'll just credit it as him, and they can't stop us.
Yeah, you'll do all your weird like facial expressions because you've got like an elastic face, and the audience won't be able to appreciate it, but we will.
Yeah. So shout out to you, my friend.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. So Series of Unfortunate Events. I forget what it was, but I was like hovering around wanting to read them for some abstract reason, because I'm like, of all the young adult series of note, I feel like this one I haven't like given a fair crack at. And I know Kenny Kruger a few months back was like, you should listen to the audiobooks because it's Tim Curry, and I've been doing that, and it's quite good.
It's funny you mentioned Kenny Kruger because he's the only other one from our high school that I remember ever like hearing about Series of Unfortunate Events with.
Yeah.
And I remember one day when I forget what was happening, but we were all sitting in the hallway as we sometimes do. Yeah. And Kenny Kruger was like,
it the band and drama hallway?
Yeah. Yeah, probably auditions for some shit.
Yeah.
But Kenny Kruger was going on some kind of rant about the books, and then he asked me something about them, and I was like, I haven't read them. And he was getting like pissed off because he loves the series, and I was like, I mean, I've seen the movie, and then he was like, I'm gonna stomp on your balls.
No, I remember a conversation opened where I messaged him because I had just finished season 1 of the Netflix show. I'm like, Kenny Kruger. Well, I didn't use his full name, but I said, Kenny, I know you love the books. This series is way worse than the movie. And he was like, what? That's not possible. And I'm like, no, it's true. That series is absolute dog shit and is an abomination. And I hope the books are not quite like that. Exactly. Like, I hope it's like, because basically I think my biggest problem, the reason I like the movie more than the books, is the movie is paced better. Mm-hmm. And then also there's less of the whole, well, the parents don't believe us because we're children, which is like the dark comedy of the book. I get it. Yeah. But the show really like thinks it's the funniest shit, and that's not. Yeah, and that scares me because watching the movie, which you've said tones it down a lot, does it way too much for me. Oh yeah, no, the movie is like the best version. If you took the show, it'd be like this is kind of, because like they cut out, so Mr. Poe in the show and in the books, his thing is he always has a cold, so like every other line he's coughing. Oh. But in the movie they were like, what if he was just stuffy, like as in a stuffy British man? I'm like, that's better. Yeah, this is much cleaner. Thank you. Yeah, it's better. because it's mostly him. But no, I think the movie does just, in my opinion, is just enough. And then I also think Jim Carrey's far superior to Neil Patrick Harris, because I think, what did we say? Neil Patrick Harris is kind of like, he's not usually over the top, so him playing like a cheesy over the top character feels unnatural, whereas Jim Carrey doing it, he is able to play it more seriously when he's supposed to be dark, so it makes it like more effective.
I think I said that while they are both character actors, Neil Patrick Harris is playing it up way more than he usually does, and Jim Carrey is not playing it up as much as he normally does.
Yeah, because he's pretty intimidating.
Yeah, absolutely.
At parts in that movie,
and there's so few lines that sound like Jim Carrey.
Yeah, it feels like he is inhabiting the character pretty well. And you can debate whether, how different that is from the books, but again, they made one movie, and it was the first 3 books, and it kind of it's a pretty much complete story, which I like.
Yeah.
So the fact that they never made a sequel, that hurts, but again, like, I remember also, I watched season 1 of the show, and I remember once they got to the 4th book, I was like, okay, theoretically, could I jump from the movie to this part of the season and just go forward from here? And I was like, kind of, because as soon as they get away from what the movie covers, it's better, but not great. Like, it's better.
Is the series finished? Did they?
Yeah, they finished. They adapted all the books.
Okay.
All 13 of them. Yes, 13.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it was roughly like 2 or 3 books a season or something.
It was
every 2 episodes was a book.
Yes, a book was 2 episodes.
Okay.
Which was great in theory. But when the pacing of it was literally like, oh, this is being stretched out over 2 episodes, it was like, God. Like when they were doing the, especially Reptile Room and the shit with, I forgot her name. Meryl Streep. Josephine.
Yeah.
Yeah, her that was bad. Alfred Woodard, that is a terrible performance.
How is the guy who was McDonald? Or McDowell?
He was okay. He made almost no impression.
I mean, he's not Billy Connolly.
Yeah, so like the fact that he's not Billy Connolly, like, you kind of lose. Yeah, so, and then also the kids, like, were not as good.
Yeah.
Mostly because, like, it was kind of the, a little bit of the, how do I describe it? In the first movie, they were kind of, like, sullen and depressed. And they were acted more like actually intelligent children.
Yes.
Like, they were kind of, like, isolated, whereas in the show, it's kind of like, but we have to make them really likable. And so they're kind of like Richie in It Chapter 1. Like, they say things that are, like, presented to them by the script, and it's like, they wouldn't say that.
Yeah.
A little bit of that. But they're good. For child actors, they're good. I don't like them as much as the movies. Maybe Sunny, the baby's better, because there's less CG baby.
That's fair.
Yeah.
But how good are her sassy subtitled lines?
Not as good.
Oh yeah. Well,
yeah, that's basically what it is. Yeah, like and they do some really bad stuff where they like kind of pretend like the Baudelaire parents are alive, and it's like just a twist that was separate parents going to a different set of orphans.
I remember you talking about that sequence and how it's completely pointless.
That was the moment where I literally was like, "Fuck you! This is shitty writing," because all of those scenes mean nothing, because literally all it amounts to is like, oh, like Patrick Warburton's like, oh, and then just there was a moment when they were both on either sides of the door, and like they were almost reunited, and then the parents open the door and it's a different set of kids, and it's like they open the door and there's nothing there, and I'm like, but they didn't. There was no physical interaction. It's not like they thought those people were their parents, and they're like, oh no, we're like separate people. That would have like actually been something, but that's literally like was them like jerking the audience around, and I hated that. That was the moment when I'm like, this show can't be good. Yeah. Because if it's like this, it can't be good.
Yeah. I think at most I'd want to watch Patrick Warburton scenes, and that's it.
He's good. He's the best part of the show. He's the one. I love Jude Law in the movie, but I think Patrick Warburton's more like tonally what the story deserves. Okay. So I think if you could take Patrick Warburton and put him, I love Jude Law, but I wouldn't. Because I love, that's tough to say.
Because it's really funny. Because anytime I'm watching the film and I get a Lemony Snicket scene, I'm like, I really want to read the books.
Yeah, exactly.
Because just imagining like reading the events of the books with that style
with Jude Law's kind of
his prose, the way he talks.
No, agreed.
That sounds great.
Yeah, so
I wish he did the books, even though I love Tim Curry, but
yeah. It's I think all the good thing is all the Lemony Snickets are good.
Yeah.
So if any of them were bad, then that'd be not good. But yeah. And then it's a topic we'll discuss in a separate one that we're recording tonight, but also man, has this year been bad for movies? It's been really bad. In fact,
I need to pull up 2019.
So I want to kind of list you the movies. Most of these I've seen.
Yes.
But I don't think I really need to see all of them to know that they're not good.
Okay. Oh. Yeah.
But here's the thing. So this year we have had Captain Marvel, Hellboy, John Wick Chapter 3.
I've heard
it's bad.
Yeah.
Godzilla King of the Monsters.
That wasn't good.
Dark Phoenix. The worst of the series. Toy Story 4. Spider-Man Far From Home. It Chapter 2, and Rambo Last Blood.
And I want to add on to that because I'm looking at all of the films of this year. So ones I've also heard were bad. Replicas with Keanu Reeves.
Oh, Christ.
Was apparently really fucking awful.
Yeah.
The Kid Who Would Be King.
Oof, that looked really bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was something. Lego Movie 2.
Nah.
What Men Want.
Oof, yeah, bad.
That looks...
I don't need to see it.
Alita Battle Angel.
Is
okay besides the pacing and the drastic missing parts of story.
I'd say that film was like, when I watched it, I said, that wasn't a waste of my time.
Yeah.
Which for that movie, that's probably the best you could expect.
Yeah. And then there's How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World, which is the worst of the trilogy. I'm very sad to say.
I'll take your word for that.
Yeah. Which sucks because I actually really like.
I kind of wish those movies had come out when I was a kid because I feel I'd like them more.
Yeah.
They're kind of like okay to me.
Yeah.
They're okay.
There was Us, which I'm sure is awful.
Yeah, we'll see that eventually.
There was Dumbo.
Maybe that's good.
I doubt that.
I doubt it, but
I think that's good. Pet Sematary, which I've heard, at least the ending is shit.
Well, it's because they try to subvert your expectations.
Oh.
They do a twist.
Well, that's a bad. They shouldn't have done that.
And then also we got later on this year Terminator Dark Fate and Rise of Skywalker, which I don't think either ones have any chance in hell to be good.
Yeah.
Skywalker maybe might have some, like... If they can make a movie where I don't have to watch 7 and 8, I might just like it for that. Not like it, but I might just go, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I might include you in a marathon if you're okay, but I doubt it. I think it's going to be bad.
I think it's...
And then also Glass, which I had some problems with, and Endgame, which I had some problems with, but overall those are positives.
Yeah.
And then Shazam, I need to rewatch because I was high as fuck when we watched it, and I literally don't recall half the movie.
I was very gone.
And then the best film of the year so far, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which I think is like a perfect film.
Yeah. Oh, that movie is really good.
I think if you took all the quality from all the bad films I listed in the first section there, I think Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is better than every net positive of all those films combined.
I agree.
Yeah, I think that's the truth. I think that is actually a truth.
Like, I'd say the only one that comes close is when you distill all the good from Endgame.
Oh, no, I'm not counting Endgame or Glass.
Oh, okay.
I just mean that first section.
Oh, okay.
Captain Marvel, Hellboy, John Wick 3, Godzilla, Dark Phoenix, Toy Story, Spider-Man Far From Home, It Chapter 2, and Rambo.
Okay.
I think it's better than all those films combined.
That's fair.
Also, we haven't seen Brightburn, but I heard that kind of doesn't explain why the kid's creepy.
Yeah.
That you're just supposed to go with it, so...
Well, I've heard it's... I've heard it's implied that it's kind of like he's kind of like a Saiyan, like all of his alien things that he finds are like
the ship makes him like feel like his instinct is to do. I know.
Yeah,
I get that.
But that's bad.
Also, yeah, give me one. And then the ones that I'm resting my hopes on, besides Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, is like with Endgame and Glass are kind of like holding up this towering pyramid of not good.
Sure.
The films that are coming in the next 2 months that I am hyped for: Joker, El Camino, The Lighthouse, and Doctor Sleep. And I'm hoping at least 3 out of those 4 are good.
Which I'd say if any of them are going to be not good, it would probably be Dr. Sleep.
Yeah, I heard one plot point thing about Joker that makes me go, that's dumb, but okay. So we'll see how that lands, because if that's like artistically cool enough, and if Joaquin Phoenix is just owning it, then I'm sure that I'm gonna like it.
Yeah,
it's gonna be better than Suicide Squad. So.
I know Joaquin Phoenix's big thing was like, I wanted to portray him in a way where a psychologist wouldn't be able to diagnose what the fuck is wrong with him.
Which is the Joker.
Yeah, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's like, so I didn't read any of the comic stuff about Jokers. Yeah. I read a little bit about like mass murderers and like school shooters and that kind of thing. Yeah. But nothing like no in depth in any of the fields. Just sort of a general sense of it all. Which
is I'm very excited. I think he might get a nom.
I hope so.
Nom. And it's kind of interesting because now that I think about it, imagine like an alternate universe where, let's say, like for some reason, like if because Chris Nolan during his era, it was all his vision.
Yes.
And I would not change that for anything. But imagine like a different kind of reality where Chris Nolan does The Dark Knight, and then he's ramping up to do Rises, and then they're like, what if we recasted Heath, which I know they weren't going to do, but like what if we did like Heath Ledger, but it's Joaquin Phoenix now, and like he was the same, role. Yeah. Or if they did the spin-off movie after Rises, and it's like maybe it's canon.
Yeah.
Whereas now it's pretty clearly like an Elseworlds tale from any current continuity. So
although I'm interested to see if, because the Joker movie is the first movie that's under the DC Black label.
Yeah, which they tried to do with Marvel. Marvel Knights, they did Ghost Rider: Spirit of Vengeance and Punisher Warzone, and I think it died.
Yeah, it died hard.
But I like this. Yeah.
But I'm really curious to see. I know it's grating on you, and it kind of is on me. But I really want the Batman to be good, because I've heard it is going to be its goal is to be only connected to the DCEU in very like tangential way,
because Commissioner Gordon is now black.
Yeah,
so either they're saying Justice League isn't canon, or
that's my assumption. I don't think it's just this is younger Bruce Wayne. Eventually Robert Pattinson will be Ben Affleck.
I'm gonna be real with you. I think they're just hedging their bets. I think what they're doing is they're gonna have Deathstroke, and Deathstroke will be the same actor. So that would kind of in the same way of what's a good example? Kind of like Deadpool, where they were like, let's test run him in the part. We didn't quite get it right. Let's try it again. So like they're like, oh, he's in Justice League. Now we're gonna do him in the Batman, see if he takes off.
Yeah.
So but I think for the most part, it's just gonna be a complete reboot that you can think is in the same continuity as Batman v Superman.
Well, I'm hoping.
But again, I think what we all wanted, what you and I wanted. Why wasn't this movie made with Ben Affleck and just do Under the Red Hood and explain why he is killing people in Batman v Superman? Because that's like one of the biggest problems with the movie, and you could have sold it if it was like he went to the dark side after Under the Red Hood.
No, my new desire now is for the Batman to be at least really as good as Joker, and then it gets absorbed by the Black label, and they just have their thing outside of the DCE.
That's my thing. I think we should keep an eye out for if they have a Gordon in Joker and if he's black. Because if he is, then they could merge those. And if they don't have Joker in the Batman, they could make it Joaquin Phoenix. Do you think they're gonna have Jared Leto in the Suicide Squad?
I don't know.
Because they call it the Emancipation of Harley Quinn, and I don't foresee that making sense unless she has to break away from Joker. And I don't want a third Joker. I'd prefer you just use one of the other ones that we currently have.
Yeah.
Like, they could have Jared Leto do, like, a wrestling thing where he revamps his character, and he's, like, way better. And you're like, wow, that small... It'd be like X-Men Origins Wolverine, where it's like, yeah, he kind of had that weird mini thing in Suicide Squad, and now he's actually the Joker.
Yeah, I'd be curious.
But I don't think Gordon's in Joker.
I don't think... I'm looking now. I don't think he is.
But I think that's what they're doing, is they're going to hedge their bets, and if Joker's really well received and the Batman is really well received, they'll merge those.
Which I hope that doesn't make them... lose Joaquin Phoenix, because I know because I know when they made Joker and were making Joker and they approached Joaquin Phoenix, they were like, hey, listen, this isn't like a big budget, like really, like this isn't a blockbuster. This is just a very small character focus, and Joaquin Phoenix is like, that's exactly what I want. That's the reason I turned down Doctor Strange and Hulk and all this other shit, is because I don't want a really big superhero role.
I think this might just be a one-off then. Yeah. I think I trust Joaquin Phoenix's artistic integrity to not let him go. Yeah, I'll do, because I think so. Spoiler alert for Joker. And this is not the spoiler that I thought was not good, but so Bruce Wayne's in the movie.
Yes,
and
Thomas Wayne,
and Joker talks to him.
Oh, really?
That scene by the gate where he does the smile. I think that's with Bruce.
I can see that.
So I think there's probably a version that exists where the Waynes aren't in it at all. Maybe just Thomas Wayne. But they were like, well, kind of like Gotham, we have to have Bruce Wayne, don't we?
Yeah.
Because it's a Batman story. And it's like, but this originally was said, like, the whole point of Joker was supposed to be, we're doing, like, the comics, like, completely differently. Like, we're just telling a story with the basic concept of the Joker. Because as far as what we've seen in the trailers, it looks like a completely realistic world. Like, it looks kind of like Chris Nolan. So I don't know if at the end he just has that makeup or he gets the Glasgow smile. I don't think he's going into a vat of chemicals.
No.
So...
No. I think he's just painting his face.
Yeah. So, you know, that'll be interesting. I'm curious to see that film. I don't want to say the spoiler that I thought wasn't very good, but it was basically a twist about, like, perceptions of reality. And like, oh, that wasn't real the whole time.
Oh.
But they do it in an obvious way that's like, yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
So, that's the one thing that I'll be curious if that ruins it. El Camino, I think, is going to be great because it's all the same creative team, and they waited 6 years to do it, and
because I'm really interested to see like what I actually want to know, like what happens to Jesse.
Yeah, I do too. Because I don't. If they do it right, it doesn't ruin the ending of the show. Because I think that was the fear originally when they first said, we're doing a movie about Jesse. I'm like, but that ending's so perfect.
Yeah.
But now I see there is room for maybe one last story with him. Unless he shows up on Better Call Saul, which is possible. They might do a crossover.
Yeah.
And then the lighthouse looks great. Looks creepy and weird as fuck. Like, and I think you might like it more. I think we talked about this. You're going to like it more than The Witch because it's just two characters and they'll get way more development.
Yeah. I was reading, because I have a lot of time at work now, so I just read shit about movies all the time.
Yeah.
And I know for The Lighthouse, Robert Pattinson was kind of thrown off because the director had him and Willem Dafoe, like, rehearsing a lot, like in their
like a play
in like their hotel room, and Robert Pattinson is like, I don't like rehearsing, I like being very in the moment and like seeing what works the first time. So it's really interesting to see him being like stretched creatively, because I think Robert Pattinson is really, really talented.
Oh, he's a great actor.
And so I hope he finally gets to shine really well.
I feel like this is a repeat of the Ben Affleck thing. Why is it with Batman we're always like, this guy, and not so much with Christian Bale, but there was that to an extent, but every single time, like Michael Keaton, Ben Affleck, Robert Pattinson, we're like, oh, that guy, there's no way he can do it. It's like, but these are good actors. The fuck are you talking about? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, and then we already talked about Dr. Sleep, and that, I'm just hoping it's not gonna, obviously it can't be as good as The Shining, because that's a Kubrick film. And this is like based on a book so there's like Stephen King's interests, and like we want to make it in the same universe as the Shining movie, but it's not tonally the same at all. Yeah. So we'll see how that flies. But yeah, that's kind of the upcoming stuff that I'm excited for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, do we want to do we want to talk about Spider-Man?
Oh yeah, we should.
Yeah. So a couple months ago, brave fucking magnificent Sony was like, Disney, you're this fucking monopolizing prick that just wants to take more and more of our revenue from our most profitable property at the time. Yeah. And Disney's like, no, we should just, split the profit 50-50.
Even though you're making the movie.
Even though you're making it. But in return, we'll allow it to be in the MCU. And
yeah, that's such a stupid trade.
And so Sony was like, well, fuck this, our contract's over, so I guess we just won't renew. And
we'll just do a Tom Holland movie now because now that he's in the MCU, everybody likes him.
Yeah. And so there was this, and everyone was freaking out, and everyone was shitting on Sony because everyone's sheeple.
Because they were idiots who didn't know that it was Marvel,
yeah,
and Disney who had been the kind of aggressors, who had caused the split.
Yeah, but unfortunately they have reconciled. There's now an undetermined amount of Spider-Man movies.
I am hoping beyond hope that it's just maybe like one more to finish the trilogy, and then maybe one team movie.
Well, did you know?
Because I'm hoping it's not like another 5.
Well, did you know that they
though I hated, but I don't like Homecoming, and I hated Far From Home.
Yeah.
And I like Spider-Man in Infinity War, but
yeah.
To be clear, I don't like these movies, but I want Sony to have the creative freedom to be competition.
Yes.
That's healthy. That's not bad.
But do you know what I heard?
What?
That for Venom, they did actually film a scene with Tom Holland, and Disney did something to shut it down so they couldn't include it. So I'm hoping beyond hope that he is in Venom 2.
I think that might be the trade.
Yeah.
They say he's going to be in Venom 2.
Because now there is a statement from Disney acknowledging that he's going to be in a different cinematic universe.
That's what they say, but that's not what
that's not what it's going to be, because for those of you that watch us that are the average moviegoer, it's all because of you. Because you won't realize that these are 2 different universes. You'll see, there's Tom Holland playing Spider-Man.
Yeah.
These are other movies he's played Spider-Man, and therefore...
So here's the thing, though. Mm-hmm. Do you think there's going to be some weird, the shit going on with Star Trek, where he has to be 25% different than the Tom Holland in the MCU? He's, different in some way that, they make a way so that it can't possibly be the same one? His aunt is a different actress or something?
I can forgive that.
I can retcon that.
Yeah.
It's just a recast.
Doesn't matter. It's still Tom Holland playing Spider-Man.
Whatever makes MCU fans angry, it's probably a good thing to do.
Because Sony is beginning their... I forget what they called it, but it's their shared universe.
It's just the Spider-Man.
And
Sony Spider-Man universe, whatever it is.
And they have Venom as their first entry, and Venom 2 is on the way, but they're also working on Morbius
and Sinister Six.
But Morbius is actually in production and casted.
I forget the director doing it.
But I don't know. I know it's Jared Leto as Morbius.
Oh my fucking god!
And Matt Smith is also in it.
I drained my own blood and sent it to my castmates.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Do you think he's gonna go ham, or do you think the media coverage will make Jared Leto step back and go, maybe I'm being a prick?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I need to look up. Oh yeah, and Jared Harris is also in it.
Yeah.
And he do you know who else is in it?
I don't.
We've been watching some of his wonderful movies.
Jim Carrey?
No. Tyrese Gibson.
We have. Do you want to talk about that?
We've been.
Do you want to talk about that? Yeah. Well, it was interesting. I was looking up stuff about Fast and Furious, and what was interesting was, so there's movies that are by weird Quentin Tarantino type reasons, they're all in the same universe.
Yeah.
So you got the Fast and the Furious series. There's 8 movies, 2 short films, and then the spinoff with Hobbs and Shaw. Did you realize there's actually 2 more spinoffs? Because Justin Lin, who directed 3 through 6, he directed a film in 2002, 1 year after the original Fast and Furious, called Better Luck Tomorrow, which is an Asian crime film about it's kind of a coming of age film, kind of breaking down stereotypes of Asians are always smart and kind of showing the crime in that community. And then the actor who plays Han in Fast and Furious plays a character named Han in Better Luck Tomorrow, and the actor and Justin Lin have said, it's the same character, this is an origin story.
Yeah.
So that film is now a prequel to the events of all the movies. And then Justin Lin also directed a movie called Annapolis with James Franco as a boxer in the Navy, and a different character from Better Luck Tomorrow named Lou is also in that movie called Lou. So by dint of that,
and then isn't Tyrese also in it as well?
He's also in that, but he's a different character. So that kind of pokes a hole in that.
That's fine.
You make it work.
And then I read a rumor that Kurt Russell has a character later on in the movies, and it's apparently kind of similar to a character he played in this 80s film, Tequila Sunset.
Yeah. So maybe that's canon. You never know.
That's my hope.
He didn't give his name.
I'll watch it because I love Kurt Russell.
Yeah, I love Kurt Russell too. Because I finally showed you The Thing.
Yeah.
I remember saying like, "Oh, The Hateful Eight's inspired by The Thing."
Yeah, because I watched The Hateful Eight, and I think that came out after Guardians of the Galaxy 2. No, that was before. But I think I watched it.
Yeah, that was before. Yeah.
Guardians of the Galaxy Part 2, and I was like, I know that Kurt Russell is like a big actor, but I think these are like virtually the only movies I've seen him in. And he's good in them. I just want to watch more movies with him because he's really good. And
yeah, you need to watch Escape from New York.
That's probably true.
That's the one where he has the eye patch and he's Snake Plissken. That's who Solid Snake's kind of inspired by.
That sounds, yeah.
And it's also where the whole Statue of Liberty head imagery from Cloverfield came from. Was Escape from New York?
Oh,
poster?
Did you know that who was it? It was fucking Jonathan Kent in Man of Steel. Who?
Kevin Costner?
Yeah. Do you know that? I can't remember. It was either Kevin Costner or Michael Keaton. I always mix them up for some reason. But one of them was Quentin Tarantino's original choice to play Bill in the Kill Bill movies.
Kevin Costner and
Michael Keaton. I can't remember. It was one of them. But then, I think it was. I don't know. But whichever one of them it was is the one who personally recommended the guy who ended up playing.
Oh, Carradine.
Yeah.
I don't think Kevin Costner would have been good in that part. Even though I love Mr. Brooks, which is a very underrated film about Kevin Costner as a serial killer that I quite like. I could have seen Michael Keaton in that part.
Yeah, that could have been fun.
But you know what that made me think of?
What?
Our little tryst about the angels in the franchise. How it's angels in the outfield.
Yeah.
And then angels in the infield. No, that's the third one. There was a different one as the second one.
Yeah.
I forgot what it is. I need to look this up.
Look that up. Because it's a trilogy.
It's a trilogy, but there's also another spin-off.
Yeah.
No, you don't understand what has been unleashed.
We have a silent guest.
So
what? I'm not. Damn it.
Yeah.
We
could have just said you were here, and then like if you didn't say anything, anyone listening would be like, "They're fucking."
No,
liars.
he's lurking.
No, I'm in every episode.
Yeah, there we go.
Fuck. No. So, Angels in the Outfield is a 1994 American family sports fantasy comedy drama film.
Yes. That
is a remake of the 1951 film of the same name.
Right.
Now, then it got 2 direct-to-video sequels: Angels in the End Zone, which is the football one, but then it goes back to baseball for Angels in the Infield. Now, for me, when I was a kid, I didn't realize Angels in the Infield was not, in fact, a prequel to Angels in the Outfield.
See, the horrifying revelation I had when we first discussed this way back when was, in my mind, that one shot, the "There's no crying in baseball." I was always like, yeah, that's from Angels in the Outfield, right?
No,
and then
or maybe it is.
No, it's not.
But that's a. Well, I remember related to this, we talked about the Air Bud fucking franchise, which is 20 films long.
Yeah.
So, woof.
I watched the first one a lot as a kid.
Yeah, I watched it several times, but I also watched I think the second one for some reason.
I watched the one with the monkey MVP or whatever.
I don't.
Most valuable primate.
Oh
yeah.
Well then, so the real test of childhood trauma and or enjoyment is how far did you guys make it into the Land Before Time franchise?
Oof.
Oh, I made that to 14.
You watched all of them?
I made it to... Okay, that might be a lie. I made it to 11.
Okay.
I know I watched past 10. So...
I hit with the Beethoven. I was like, wow.
No, Beethoven is also a horrifically cancerous series.
Remember RV?
Yeah, Nathan, Nathan reminded me, I remember there was a period where every year Nathan just reminded me, hey, RV with Robin Williams exists. And I'm like, I don't know why you felt the need to tell me that, because I remember, but I didn't want to.
It's because, ladies and gentlemen, if you ever have a thought that is just, recurring and negative, and it just comes in, you'll just be enjoying yourself, and then you'll just remember something that makes you feel like shit.
Yeah.
Tell someone else that. Share the misery.
Yeah, it helps.
That's what friends are for.
That's what it's for.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Because I know, because it's not just that, I want to hurt you and remind you RV exists. It's, Oh god damn it! Just remembered that RV exists.
It's actually like a very vulnerable thing. Yeah. Like you were literally saying, like, this is something that is weighing on my mind. I need to tell you because I trust you with my vulnerability.
I have time that has been taken away from me dwelling on this awfulness. Yeah, and so I need help.
I have to share it, and it's
I need ropes, and I'm using
ropes. Oh yeah, Disney wants Ridley Scott to do another Alien film, maybe?
Yeah, he gets to finish his prequel trilogy.
I don't trust them.
I mean, no. But at the same time, I also don't... I mean, Ridley Scott did not set an incredibly high bar for finishing that trilogy.
Because I think what it is like Prometheus is a pretty good film, aside from some of the scientists being stupid.
Yes.
And then Covenant is like half artistic achievement and half schlocky, stupid B-movie.
Yeah.
And it doesn't know what it is. So,
it's
very confused.
But there's a very interesting transition point where it's like it starts off really good, and then schlock happens, and then really good stuff, and then schlock, and it like kind of alternates until it fully transitions to schlock again.
Yeah, because I'd say like the beginning. I think the schlock starts once the spores burst. But then, because like up to that point, it's pretty good. But there's the whole bit of like slipping on the blood and firing the shotgun and blowing themselves up. Yeah, and then the bit where David saves them is when it goes back to like, oh, look at this interesting character stuff, and then it kind of goes to schlock at the ending.
Yeah.
Are these mine?
I don't know. Take them.
Okay.
Just take those shoes.
Okay.
That's fine.
I bought shoes at Ross yesterday and they hurt my feet today, so.
Oh. Well, wear those.
Yeah, these are mine now.
Yeah. I wear those earbuds.
I ordered like all of my Fiend costume, so
I need to order my Bray Wyatt costume.
That's gonna be flocking in. My mask I know has arrived at WE shop, and I'm just waiting.
No,
for
wait, sorry, we can't talk about wrestling on this podcast.
We
talk about wrestling too much already.
That's an infringement on the RC
the brands
property.
Must remain separate.
I'm sorry.
Wild card.
That was the wild card rule. So you get one out of 5.
Thank you. Bless you.
So there's that. Is there anything else you want to talk about on this Shuttlecast before we move to our actual topic?
Sorry.
No, he's rocking them.
No, it's a Cinderella story.
Wow, these are my shoes.
Which I haven't seen that.
When did I buy these?
Cinderella stories with Clint Eastwood, right?
No,
it's $1 Million Baby.
Yes.
Cinderella story is Russell Crowe. The fuck is that?
I just know it's Lizzie McGuire.
The third Cinderella animated film is actually really good.
Oh no, it totally is. Well, because don't we want to go through like all the direct to video, like all the animated films and all the. Wait, what the fuck?
Yeah. I mean, I want to do an edit where it's like you're watching Cinderella 1 and it's all normal until like the time break from 3 happens and you're just watching 3.
Yeah, because like the third movie revolves around, if you don't know, the wicked stepmother getting a hold of the fairy godmother's ring, and wand.
I was gonna let you have it, but alright, yeah, wand.
And then her ring too, but the wand, and then turns back time to make sure that Cinderella never left her slipper or whatever.
God, see, I wanted to have like a nice night and just have a back-to-back of the Fantasia movies. And just
that sounds really nice.
Listening to some classical music while watching classic animation.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
Yeah. I haven't seen Fantasia 2000, so
it's
I know people don't like it anywhere near as much.
No, half of it's really great, and then the other half's kind of like we need to fill this up.
Yeah,
like there's this amazing sequence with the phoenix, where there's like a phoenix who's like burning, like this firebird that's like burning nature, and then like we follow like this wood sprite who's like running away from it.
Yeah,
amazing scene. It would have fit right into the first movie. And then there's other stuff where it's like. That was clearly just like
I just remember
in the shadow of the first film.
I just remember the trailer for Fantasia 2000 that played on like Disney VHS.
Yeah,
and I just remember whales and
whales are they're in the sky. It's kind of like it was kind of a foreshadowing for Treasure Planet. When I rewatched 2000, I'm like, oh, you're gonna do that in Treasure Planet.
What a great film.
Treasure Planet and Atlantis. Like we don't get remakes or sequels to those. Well. No, it's not true. Did you watch the direct-to-video, which was technically the first 3 episodes of the Atlantis TV show?
No. Actually, no, I think I did.
Yeah,
but I blocked it out.
Did you know that one of those was originally going to cross over with the Disney Gargoyles series? And they were going to be canon to each other?
I remember you mentioned
Yeah.
this to me. Yeah.
It's okay, that direct-to-video. Like, there's... The first story's bad. The one with the Kraken is okay, and then the Odin one's probably the best, but... That's... It's not Michael J. Fox. I think it's James Arnold Taylor.
It is.
Yeah.
It absolutely is.
Yeah.
Remember that Hellboy movie where it's James Arnold Taylor and John Hurt?
That
and it switches back and forth.
Because there's bits where he covers lines that John Hurt didn't record.
Yeah, because at first it's like, oh, James Arnold Taylor is young.
Yes.
Young him, and then John Hurt is old him. And it's like, no, John Hurt did some of the young lines, and James Arnold Taylor did some of the old lines.
And see, what's sad is I don't think James Arnold Taylor's replication is good enough where I would say, like, he should be the War Doctor on Big Finish.
No.
Unfortunately.
No.
But they'll always find someone. They got someone to do the...
They're not used. Sean Pertwee has never played the Third Doctor in anything, has he?
No. It's never been Sean Pertwee to my knowledge, which is a mistake.
I really... Because, for one thing, he looks just fucking like his dad.
Yeah.
But he's got a bit deeper voice.
Sure.
And he doesn't have as much of John Pertwee's lisp.
Sure.
But I'd still love a Big Finish audio drama with him.
Or at least, like, I mean, the show's dead in the water.
Yeah.
There's nothing that... They unless they bring back Paul McGann and Sean Pertwee and David Bradley, I don't think they're gonna...
And I want them to use that actor who played Patrick Troughton for one scene in Adventure in Time and Space, even though he doesn't really look like him.
He doesn't look like him at all.
Actually, no, you could just get his son, because he was in an episode of Doctor Who.
He does, I believe... He has done a few audio dramas as his dad.
Oh, that's good. I know that I really want to hear the guy who played Ian in Classic Who.
Because he did...
He played the first Doctor for some of the audio dramas.
Yeah, before David Bradley came along, it was all Ian. Yeah. Which is cool because he's like, I worked with Hartnell. I know him better than anyone.
Yeah.
You know, so that's cool. Our dying Doctor Who fandom. I remember you watched Dalek and then... You watched the Three Doctors.
Yeah.
Which, why is Classic Who so much better than everything?
I was trying to have a multi-Doctor marathon day, but then we just watched something else after Three Doctors. And I was I was going to watch 5 and then 2 and then day. Okay. Well, some other time.
Well, you got to watch the short film with the Fifth Doctor and David Tennant.
No, and I got to watch Dimensions in Time.
Nah, like good thing that's only like 30 minutes.
Oh, it's like 17 minutes.
Yeah, I know. But it feels longer.
Well, it does. Because it's a crossover with
EastEnders.
Yeah. And but it's also a Children in Need special where they flash to the talk show host,
Those are the dark years. Those are the dark years. Maybe discount that.
No, because it's an anniversary. It's so important.
Why don't you listen to Zagreus, then?
I did.
Again.
Well, yeah, I will.
Oh, man.
And then I need to listen to Light at the End.
Yeah, Light at the End, I've listened to part of that. It's really good. It's nice to hear all the Doctors together.
Yeah.
All the old classic series Doctors.
Yeah.
But I'm really hoping that we get, like, Capaldi doing actually good stories again. Like, I want Capaldi to actually get, like, a really good run on Big Finish and, like, redeem his dishonor. That was not his fault.
Yeah, other than his closing monologue, but...
No, I didn't like that either. I thought that was garbage.
Well, yeah, but he came up with some of that.
I know.
So that is partially his fault.
Well, yeah. I mean, like, obviously. But,
children know my name, if they really listen.
Yeah, I think that was bad. But still, you know, that's... The director should help the actor.
Yes.
If the director and writer are failing the actor, the fact that they come up with a mistake is not their fault.
And the fact that, like, at least half of his episodes were like, oh, we originally wrote this script when it was Matt Smith.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, he's a different Doctor.
It definitely feels like that.
Yes.
Peter Capaldi's run is probably, aside from the newest run, which doesn't, you know, who gives a fuck. Peter Capaldi's is probably the most inconsistent run outside of the Sixth Doctor, I would say.
I forgot because I haven't watched any of Jodie Whittaker's stuff.
Oh, I watched I watched like half an episode.
But I know for a fact they tried to like retcon and say that the first Doctor wasn't the first incarnation.
Did they?
Yeah. No, they tried to.
Oh, they tried to say like, oh, I was a woman before.
Yeah, they tried to say I've been a woman before.
It's not canon.
That's gonna get disregarded as soon as the showrunner and Doctor changes.
It's like how they kind of implied the Doctor was half human towards the end of Series 9, and it was like, go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
Either do something with that or don't. Please don't waffle.
Yeah.
Stephen Moffat, you fucking cuck.
Yeah, that was
yeah.
bad. Remember how, like, in Series 7, I think it was, like, the latter half of Series 6 and 7, they keep mentioning, there keeps being different characters named Susan, and it's like...
Did they do that? I don't think they did.
Well, I know for a fact
they kept referencing Susan. I don't think they had characters named Susan.
Well, I remember in a whatever the Western episode was, the horse's name is actually Susan. And I know they did that like one other time where there will be like a reference to Susan and another character being Susan, and it's like, hey, what if we did nothing with that? And it's like, great, perfect.
Yeah, they were like, what if we just did Clara as a romance instead of making it like his daughter? And I'm like, that's much less interesting. We've already done the romance plot many times. And then also, we haven't brought back the Doctor's daughter for some fucking reason.
And Stephen Moffat makes fun of the romance in Day of the Doctor.
Yes.
God.
It's almost like he's terrible. Yeah. And I used to defend him to my last breath, and now I realize that was wasted.
Hey, listen, I will posit that he started really good. And
Series 5 is great. Series 6 is a bit muddled.
Yeah.
But overall, I have nothing but... Well, not nothing, but I overall, that's a positive season.
Yeah.
Series 7 is half good. I think the Clara half's pretty not good.
Yeah.
But Name of the Doctor's good. Really good, for the most part.
I think Dinosaurs on a Spaceship is a little bit better than the one other episode of Doctor Who that's had dinosaurs in it, so that's something.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a good thing that...
Chris Chibnall wrote that, I think. Yeah, he did.
I also forgot that I forgot Mark Gatiss is the one that wrote An Adventure in Space and Time, the biopic.
Oh yeah,
and that's really good.
That's probably the best thing he wrote for the show.
Probably,
to be honest.
Yeah.
The Charles Dickens episode was pretty good.
Oh, I don't even remember.
Yeah, and it's the third episode of Eccleston's run where he takes her to Victorian England and there's the ghosts.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
That one's probably one of his better ones because the other ones are. Oh god, the TV taking the faces.
Well, and remember
with the really abusive father, and it's like, get it, being abusive is bad, and I'm like, I never would have thought of that.
Yeah, it's bad. But remember how the maid in the Charles Dickens episode?
Oh yeah,
is recast in Torchwood's different character, and then they reference how she's a descendant of that character in the season. It's the series 4 finale, yeah. And it's like, you could have just not left that.
Because
I didn't think about it, because it had been like a season or two since I had seen this one guest character.
It was like how they had Martha's actress Freema in series 2, and they were like, that was my cousin who worked for Torchwood. And I'm like, is anything gonna come of that? No, we just needed to explain why we had the actress in two kind of big parts.
Yeah.
And okay.
Remember how Colin Baker played a different character in Doctor Who before playing the Doctor, and they didn't bring it up, and it was fine?
Yeah, and I thought when they were talking about how important it was that Peter Capaldi looked like the guy on Torchwood and what's-his-fuck from Fires of Pompeii, how it's super important, but then they never brought up the Torchwood thing, and it was like, why the fuck did you do that then? It just raises more questions now.
Yeah.
And I thought they were going to explain like why Salamander looked like the second Doctor and why Colin Baker looked like the sixth Doctor.
I thought they were going to do something with that just in 2018. Because it was like, hey, the time's come where it's that period.
Yeah, and they didn't.
And
so it's like, so that just doesn't happen, I guess, in this timeline because time travel retconned it.
Yeah, not even a reference to it.
It's really bad.
Because again, I would have loved to have seen basically Patrick Troughton as...
I would have even not minded a redo of the Harold Saxon thing, but with Salamander.
Yeah.
And it's a kind of an updated version of the character.
Yeah, that'd be really good.
And you could have had, like, someone who kind of looked like Patrick Troughton.
Yeah.
And it would have been like, oh, that's cool.
It would have been really,
but who gives
cool.
a fuck about Classic Who? That never did anything good except everything.
Bunch of old white men. We're more progressive now.
It's
enlightened.
It's funny how when you're progressive... the better story always wins in the long run.
What?
It's funny how that works. Like, no matter how diverse your cast is, if it's a shitty story, it won't stand the test of time because nobody will care.
I was looking up...
Because there's always something more progressive down the road.
I forgot...
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas good stories are forever.
It's like, I was looking at some movie, and I was looking at the awards it had won.
Right.
And I saw it had won this Imogen Award. And I was like, what the fuck's an Imogen Award?
Right.
And I looked it up, and it's like, oh, the Imogen Awards are awarded to films that have a positive portrayal of Latin Americans in movies, and it's like, oh, so it's pointless, isn't it? It's just it's just you were inclusive.
Yeah,
Great.
like imagine you win that award for like your performance, and then like someone who's like the same race just wins the Oscar. Yeah, but they actually like worked super hard, and you kind of like did this one-off role.
Yeah,
and then like how does that make you feel? Like, do you really think like, oh, I earned this, or do you think like, no, that guy earned it?
That's like
you know what I mean?
That's like I was reading a thing with Bradley Cooper.
Yeah.
And like, you know how he won like a ton of awards as an actor for A Star Is Born, and he's like,
sure,
it's super embarrassing I didn't win any for director, but that's okay.
Yeah, because he worked so hard.
Yeah. His directorial debut, he got a ton of nominations.
It's because it's his first. They'll never give it to you for your first.
That's fair.
No, but I'd have to look this up, but I highly doubt that your directorial debut, unless you're really established like Clint Eastwood, will win you an Oscar for director. I don't think it will. They just won't give it to you. They'll be like, oh, he hasn't earned it. That's why people get Oscars later on in their careers for roles that probably did. I mean, like The Revenant's a good movie, but Leonardo DiCaprio could have won that Oscar for several other parts.
Yes,
that were just as good.
The fact that he didn't for Django is absolute bullshit.
And to be fair, that would have been like supporting.
Yeah,
not best actor.
But that's the one he wanted. But that was still one of his like greatest fucking performances,
oh, for sure.
I would say
for sure,
because he was so far out of his comfort zone.
Yeah. And you know, the Academy is bullshit.
Oh, it is.
It's like how I knew two people who were seat fillers at the Emmys. All those people there, they're not actually real people who were voting. There's a lot of actors there. So it's all a sham.
That's why
it's all a fucking sham.
It's the People's Choice Awards that matter.
I mean, they matter more, I suppose. I often find that like People's Choice Awards are more indicative. I think like the Golden Globes are probably like some of the more legit, like in terms of like, oh, I feel like that was well reasoned.
I can agree with that.
From what I've perceived. Maybe it's because there's more awards, so nobody gets like, oh, this film won cleanly over these other ones. It's like that film was nowhere near as good as those other ones. You know, like that's happened how many fucking times. So yeah.
Remember how Slumdog Millionaire beat out The Dark Knight for
like
a lot?
Fucking god, that's so embarrassing. Especially because that guy went on to be Zuko in The Last Airbender, and it's like, oh, this is bad. And his career died after that. And I was like, wow, you were like had the chance to be Zuko. And I know it was M. Night who fucked it, but it was still kind of like, wow, this guy was in Slumdog Millionaire, that Oscar-winning film that's way better than The Dark Knight. And then like his career died, and he was the star.
Yeah, and who still watches Slumdog Millionaire versus who still watches The Dark Knight?
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, exactly.
Also, we might need to make a little intermission.
Well, I think, do we have anything else that we want to just close this out with before we move on?
I think that's pretty much it.
Well, welcome to the third Shuttlecast. This is the Escape Pod. We were Josiah and Nathan, and Sal popped in for a bit. Thank you so much for listening. Tune in for our following podcast where we discuss the Rambo franchise.